Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 327. It was black here and my opponent played the English opening with c4. And I've been experimenting with this system. The idea is to get in an early d5. So you start out by playing a symmetrical English, and then there are different moves that white has here: knight c3, knight f3, or g3. And against all of them, you can get in the move d5 either immediately, or if he plays knight c3, which is what my opponent plays, you have to play one preparatory knight move, knight f6, and now either g3 or knight f3, you can follow up with d5. My opponent went g3 and I played d5. So the idea with this system is that players who play the English usually prefer closed positions, and I like positions that have at least a few open lines, sort of the semi, what do they call it, half open lines you get in a Sicilian. I've played a lot of those, and also open games. So the idea is to get a position that I'm a little bit more comfortable with than my opponent, and so I'm playing this even if it's not absolutely the best move for black. Although you see it in this particular case, it looks like it's even, only a slight edge for white. So it looks like black is equalizing pretty comfortably here. So after c takes d5, which is the main move, take back with the knight. He played bishop g2. It could also develop the knight. Knight f3 can be thrown in at any moment. And now the engine likes knight takes c3. But I don't want to bring more pawns towards the center. So I played the second choice here. I played e6. And now if he trades, I'll get a couple of pawns here on d5 and c5. So he should probably just continue developing with knight f3, and it looks like white has a comfortable edge there. But even so, it's a position with at least a couple of half-open files, and I feel like I'll be able to play this position. So my opponent went e3, and we're out of the opening book at this point. And I went bishop e7. Before we get too far, I'm going to turn off the engine. But oh yeah, I wanted to leave it on for this part because I was curious about this. After e3, the engine is immediately recommending the move knight b4, which I really did not think about at all during the game. But it is interesting. I mean, e3 has created these holes on the light squares, and knight b4 is immediately looking at them on c2 and on d3. So if he plays, how about if he just plays d3 here? Is there a tactic? Knight takes d3. Oh, right, I can just take it. He can't play d3. He can play bishop to e4. That's a recommended move. Oh, covering the hole. But that's got to be a waste of time for white. Let's see. Can he make some normal developing move like knight to f3 so we can get the idea? So the idea is to play queen to d3 or knight to d3 check. Yeah, so it's just about taking advantage of this hole on d3. And I guess that's why bishop e4 was recommended. So queen d3 is interesting. Looks like the queen can just sit there and make black somewhat, make white somewhat uncomfortable. Okay, that was an interesting point. So I didn't spot that. I just continued developing with bishop e7. I was more thinking about, well, can he take here, and can I maintain a defense of the pawn there? And this all looks good. He plays knight ge2, and I castle. He castles. I think here I'm going to turn the engine off because there was a tactical opportunity here that I missed in the game. And just wanted to look at it and use that as an opportunity for a quiz. So I maintain about an even position through most of this, and eventually start to improve. The chess engine keeps thinking I should exchange out on c3, although not in this position. So I just develop here a3. After the move a3, that's when the engine was recommending I should exchange here again. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sold on the idea. Although if he takes back with the pawn, it does leave him with this. Cancel that. Does leave him with this isolated a pawn. So I've got a bit of a weakness here along this diagonal. I have to be careful about. Typical of the English opening, when white fianchettos his bishop, he gets a strong presence on the light squared diagonal. So I want to get on this move bishop to b7 to counteract that. But my opponent plays e4 first, so going right into some tactical issues. So I can't play the move knight to f6 because he can just push, and this is a double attack. This knight is loose, and the pawn is attacking the knight, and if I take the pawn, he takes the rook. So I mentioned that during the game. So I played differently. I played knight c7, and then he went b3 and bishop b7. So I do get my bishop on this diagonal, and now he goes e5. I went rook to b8 to protect my bishop. He goes f4. I went knight d4. And he went knight e4. So this is the tactical opportunity here. It's black's turn to move, and there is a winning move here. See if you can spot it. Okay, if you want to think about it, pause the video. I'm going to give the answer away. Actually, it starts with the move I played. Knight takes e2 check. Queen takes e2. That's why I couldn't turn the engine on, because it would have given the answer away already. Even though I played it, I missed the next move. So what's the follow-up here? If you didn't get the answer right the first time, here's your second chance to see if you can spot the tactic. Okay, I hope everybody sees this. Now that I've told you there's a tactic here, it should be pretty obvious that queen to d4 there wins the rook in the corner. That's the point. I was so focused on these pieces over here, I was completely ignoring this rook, which is unprotected because the bishop was never developed. So there's a loose rook in the corner, and so queen to d4 check just wins that. Okay, so I played knight b5. I had a different idea, getting the knight to a good square here. And actually, black is better. It's just that I missed that winning opportunity. So white has gone astray somehow. He's got too many weaknesses in his position. He's opened up lines towards his king, and he's got this backwards pawn that I can attack, and these pawns are a bit weak as well. So black has a definite advantage here. My opponent plays rook b1 so that when I go to this square, I won't be forking, although he could have defended with queen back to d1. I play knight d4 anyway. And now his idea, he frees the queen up to come out to g4. So the rook is defending the b pawn. He doesn't have to retreat his queen, but he can go forward. And I had to think about this. I'm not sure if this is entirely the best move, but it is forcing. And I don't want to let him build up an attack on the king side. I want to force some action here. So he has to respond to this. I'm attacking two pieces. So he takes the pawn. And now he takes the bishop, which is probably a reasonable way to play, but it helps me too. It helps me develop my queen. And this now I have a weak pawn, and he has a weak pawn, so it seems like we have offsetting weaknesses. But this pawn is relatively close to my camp, and it's well defended by the knight. So his move bishop h3 doesn't even really threaten to attack anything. So anyway, I'm not trading off the bishops anymore, so I put this on a more active diagonal. I was thinking also I want to support my knight coming into some of these light squares. So he played rook here, which stops the knight from coming in immediately, but then I get this other good square for my bishop, where I'm attacking his rook and threatening to come here. So actually I'm winning material at this stage. I don't think there's any way to avoid it. He moves his rook, and then I come here, and if his queen goes just anywhere, I'm going to grab the bishop. So the queen really can only go here. And now I can take the bishop and play the check. So this tactic I did manage to spot during the game. And it's pretty much winning. There's not a whole lot that white can do about it. Rook f to d8, putting pressure. Cancel that. I move the other rook. Rook f to d8. Putting pressure on his backwards d pawn. He played g4, and I just took this pawn. I wasn't too worried about any clever move like pawn here. If the pawn goes all the way to d4, I can just take it with the queen. If the pawn only goes to d3, I'll have to move my queen, but the pawn will still be a target. So this is just a weakness that I can attack at leisure and build up. So queen takes f4 was a safe move. He tried to move rook to c2, but this fails once again to a fork. So I managed to spot 2 of the 3 main tactics in the game, but I did miss that one early on. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.